Recording lessons and student progress is one of the core functionalities of this program. There are two main options for doing that. One is through the record keeping ribbon with the enter lessons option, and the other is by going to the record sheet for the curriculum area of the lesson that you'd like to record. So I'm going to go to numbers and operations, and if I want to record a lesson that I just introduced, I can select the students and the lesson that I introduced. So if I did a small bead frame addition with dynamic addition with Denise and Tom, I'm going to use the control key to click and select the two cells for those two students who I introduced that lesson to. And then on the Mac, that's a command key to select two different cells. And then I'm going to press I and hit enter. That brings up the lesson entry dialog box where I can add any comments about the lesson or change the date if I'm entering the lesson on a date other than when I actually presented it. If you don't want to see this in general because you don't do a lot of comments or you're generally doing your record keeping every day, then you can click here and it won't show that in future lesson entries. I'll just put the entry in with the default entry of that day's date. I'm going to leave that on. So I've now recorded that I introduced that lesson to those two students. If I have several students who I've introduced something to, you can either click and drag or click and then hold down shift and click in the last cell you want to select, and we'll select all the cells in between for a contiguous selection. If I'm reviewing a lesson with a student that I've already introduced previously, again here I'm using control or on the Mac command to select these entries, where today I reviewed that lesson with them. I'm going to use the R character for reviewed. I'm going to stick with the default entry. So those students now have a introduced and reviewed entry for that lesson. Later on they may be proficient with that and have finished their work with that for now, and I would mark them with a P for proficient. So they now show introduced, reviewed, and proficient entries. So the other way of entering lessons, if you have a lot that you're doing, you may prefer to go to the Enter Lessons dialog box. And here we can choose from any curriculum area, record sheet, and from any lesson subheading. So I'm going to go with fractions. And then from any lesson within that subheading. So I'm on the other math concept sheet with the fractions subheading, and here are the lessons that I'm choosing from here. So I'm going to go with equivalent fractions. And here I can click or click and drag to select students. And those I'm going to say I introduced that to. It shows here as well any other entries that they already have for that lesson. So these students have marked that they are needing that lesson. So I can make any comments I want or change the date and click log entry. So that entry is logged, and then I can go on to another lesson that I did, which might be a language lesson with the grammar boxes. So here are my lessons again, and maybe I introduced the adverb to the student who, the pronoun lesson here to Mandy, who I had marked that I needed to present that to. And you can log that entry. So you can continue to log as many lessons as you want to, or comments, and then when you're done, press finished. and you're complete.